Inspiritus, and these are my friends, Jennifer Blair and Taylor Stout. And we are going to be sharing with you a Christ-centered restorative practice this morning. So before we get started, I thought I'd talk a little bit about what a restorative yoga practice is, and talk a little bit about some of the props and supports we're going to use throughout our practice today. So all yoga by nature is restorative because it works to bring our bodies, our minds, and our spirits integrated as one thing. So it brings us back to a state of balance. Restorative yoga differs from some of our active practices because we're not using our bodies to hold the postures. We actually support the body with various props and supports that hold the body in a certain position and then allow the muscles and the bones to be taken out of the equation. And so the body still receives all of the benefit of each posture, but it doesn't really have to do the work. So it's deeply and truly restorative. So the title of my class today is Rest, Restore, and Replenish. And that is really and truly my hope for each of you as you practice with us today. So the priority of a restorative practice is to be comfortable while practicing. Our minds should be seeking stillness and not pulled by any effort to achieve a state of comfort. So we're not even working at getting comfortable, we just get comfortable and then we receive all of what is offered to us from each posture. With awareness, we notice where we're holding tension in our bodies. And so the key places to look for tension are in our lower back, in our abdomen, in our shoulders, in our neck, and sometimes in our jaw. Lots of times we hold tension there. So I want you to just remain aware of places you might be holding tension, and then see if you can allow yourself to let go of that need or that intention of holding that tension in your body. So if sensations of discomfort become apparent in any posture, you should always feel completely free to adjust the props as needed so that you can find that space of comfort. Rearrange your props, add some more additional support, and then when you're ready, come back into the pose. So a little bit about props, that's what I wanted to talk about. Sometimes I lose my train of thought. So if you're in a yoga studio, lots of times you have lots of props available to you. Jen, can you pass me a bolster? You might have bolsters, and they are used in various ways. You might have yoga blocks. Thank you. So you might have yoga blocks. You might have blankets. Oftentimes, studios have Mexican blankets, which are awesome for adding support to your postures. If you don't have those types of things, for sure there are things you can use around your own home if you're practicing at home. So you can use any type of blanket, and you may need more than one. You can use bath towels or bath sheets. You can use cushions off your couch or perhaps off your bed. And I also have with me some flax bags that I actually keep either cold or hot when I need some special attention for my body. Sometimes I hurt myself and then I need special attention. Anyway, so we're going to use some of these props through our practice today. Alright, so as we set up to begin our practice, we're just going to come into a simple cross-legged pose. We're going to set an intention for the practice today, and then we're going to get started. So ladies, if you'll join me in a simple cross-legged pose, taking a moment to close your eyes, bring your awareness to your body, noticing your sit bones connected to your mat. Bringing your ribs over top of your hips, and then lifting your shoulders up towards your ears. Take a moment to release those shoulders back and down. Find a little length in the spine. Tuck that chin ever so softly. Let the hands just rest lightly on the knees or the thighs. Keep your eyes softly closed and take a moment or two to check in with your breath. So notice your breathing. Notice each inhalation and each exhalation. First, just noticing. And then as you feel ready, taking a moment or two and deepening that breath. So we inhale through our nose, and we exhale through our nose. Perhaps just a little bit longer and a little bit deeper. In all of our yoga practice, we use our breath to help relax our body and to calm and center our minds and our spirits. Good, so keeping our eyes still softly closed, we're going to take one big breath together. Let's inhale, reaching our hands to the ceiling. Exhale, palms of our hands together, slowly lower to our heart center. And just tilting our head forward. Today, let our intention be to appreciate every moment, to savor the breath in our lungs, the air on our skin, and the sensation of restoring balance to our body, our mind, and our spirit. And slowly open our eyes. We're going to prepare for our first pose. So our very first pose is called legs up the wall. So I'm going to give you the option to elevate your legs up the wall or to simply do legs up the wall. So let's begin by inviting Jen and Taylor just to come a little closer to the wall. So they're going to bring one hip nice and close to the wall. And then they're going to roll down onto their back as they sweep their legs up towards the wall. So legs up the wall is a beautiful posture. It's a lower body inversion. So it helps to reverse the flow of blood in the body. We spend a lot of our day standing or seated, and so sometimes we can build up some fluid in the lower body. You'll notice some swelling perhaps at the end of the day in your ankle or your feet or your calves or in various parts of your lower legs. So a lower body inversion reverses those effects, and some of the other things it's beneficial for is it helps us if we're having trouble sleeping at night. And it's just a beautiful supported pose. So you can see that both ladies are supported with their legs up the wall, so they're getting a nice gentle hamstring stretch, a little stretch for the calves, and then they're also supported with the floor underneath their back. So really their body doesn't have to do any work here to simply receive the benefits of this posture. As we begin to settle in, we want to make sure that we're looking for comfort in each of our bodies. So it's a very personal thing. So I'm going to ask Taylor and Jen if they might like to elevate their hips a little bit or slide a bolster under their low back. That might help if they're having any discomfort in their low back. So sometimes we try and see how that feels, and then you need to decide, does that feel good, or do I need to change something about the pose? Remember, your desire is to find a space of comfort where you're seeking complete stillness. Good. So how's that feeling? Do you need to change anything else? You guys feel okay? All right. So as they begin to settle in, I'm going to come back over this way. And the position of legs up the wall is a posture that you can assume, and you can stay there for 5 minutes, but you can stay up to 15 or 20 minutes. So we are going to stay here for a period of time as both ladies receive the benefits of this pose. So now I'm just going to invite them to both close their eyes once again, to take a moment to see how their bodies are feeling, to see if they need to change anything about the position. If it's uncomfortable to have their legs straight up the wall, they can always bring the soles of their feet together and assume a butterfly pose, supported against the wall, if that would feel all right. So noticing what's happening in the neck and the shoulder. Again, we're looking for ways to reduce that tension in that upper upper backs or the shoulders kind of edging up towards the ears. Do we need to bring the shoulder blades a little bit closer together on the back side of the body? And then just some awareness about our hands. We can keep the hands by the side of the body, but you might feel better if you rest your hands on your belly. Or for some of us, if our shoulders are tight, maybe reaching the arms over the head and then cupping opposite elbows. Sometimes that feels really good. Good. All right, so eyes are softly closed. And once again, we're bringing that awareness back to our breathing. Notice each breath as it enters and exits the body. So initially, we set ourselves up as the observer and we're just watching the breath, using the breath as our focal point to help us find a space of relaxation. So simply watching that breath, inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the nose. So the first piece of scripture I want to begin with today comes from Matthew chapter 6, verse 6, and it reads, "Here's what I want you to do. Find a quiet place so you won't be tempted to role play before God. Just be there as simply and honestly as you can manage. And the focus will shift from you to God, and you will sense His grace." So we're going to continue in this posture, just with a slow, steady breath. Enjoying the sensation of fatigue draining from our legs and seeking to find deliberate stillness. Here's what I want you to do. Find a quiet place so you won't be tempted to role play before God. Just be there as simply and honestly as you can manage. The focus will shift from you to God, and you will sense His grace. So let's begin to bring some awareness back to that physical experience of our bodies. Wiggle those fingers a little bit, wiggle the toes. Mind your breath. Whenever you feel ready, you can check those knees into the chest and come down towards the side, coming into what we call sleep pose. You can just slide your bolster, your blanket out of your way, and just roll over to your side for a moment. Take this time to let that little bit of work begin to integrate into your body, your mind, and your spirit. When you feel ready, I'm going to invite you to come to a kneeling position on your mat. And before we do our next pose, we're just going to move through cat and cow. So coming into tabletop position, bringing those wrists below the shoulders, knees below the hips. And we're just going to wake up that spine a little bit. So on our inhale, lifting the sit bones, dropping the belly, lifting the gaze. And on the exhale, tucking that tailbone around into the ab, tucking the chin. And then just move now at your own pace a few times, kind of easing out that tension from the low back, getting things moving, connecting with your breath. Good. All right, so when you guys are ready, I'll get you to face head to head. We're going to come into our supported child's pose. So typically, supported child's pose, or child's pose of any kind, is just about everyone's favorite posture for releasing the lower back. So sometimes it just requires making sure you have enough props to get comfortable in the posture itself. And then, so I would suggest don't skip this one because it's just about everyone's favorite. So both Taylor and Jen are beginning to stack their bolsters up. They might lay a blanket across. So again, you want to kind of experiment a little bit until you find the appropriate height for you to let your body release into the posture. So they have their bolsters stacked, or maybe you're using bed pillows, or you might not have bolsters. You could go ahead and use a rolled up yoga mat. You could put a blanket over top of that. Anything that kind of allows for about that length. So I'm going to ask them to come a little bit closer to their bolsters, keeping their big toes together and perhaps their knees wide apart. And then they're going to come down with their body on top of the bolster, lay the arms out on either side, and rest just one cheek on the bolster at first. So again, you're looking for absolute comfort in your own body. So think about what you might need to change to achieve that state of comfort, so that you can just let those props provide the support. You can rest into the support and receive all of the benefits of this beautiful pose. While they're here, I'm going to add my flax bags. So if you don't have anything like this, you could use even a bag of sugar, anything with a little bit of weight. So I have flax bags. I also have meditation cushions. So things like that work really well. And then I'm going to just set this on Jen's low back. And does that feel all right? Is that too heavy? Good. And I'm going to add one for Taylor as well. Is that all right, Taylor? So again, you kind of want to find a place where the weight of the bag is working with gravity to help a little bit more of that sensation of releasing the low back. Some things you might notice about child's pose, supported and regular child's pose, is sometimes it's we have some issues with compression of our knees. So you could always elevate the hips a little bit, roll up a blanket, tuck it behind the knees so that you keep that space in that knee joint, and that might add to your comfort. So again, once Taylor and Jen are comfortable here, I'm going to invite them to close their eyes, and we're going to stay in this pose for a few minutes. So we have them resting their cheek in one direction, but they can absolutely feel free to change and look in the other direction if that seems like a good idea for them. So using the support of those props, allowing the body to rest. Again, turn your focus back to your breathing. So in child's pose with the props underneath our chest, it is a little harder to breathe deeply, but just be aware of the breathing. So don't get so busy that you forget to simply be. Sometimes the best way to stop being overwhelmed by life is to simply step back, to take a day or an hour or maybe just a moment. And in that day or hour or moment, notice all of the things that God is doing in your life. Matthew chapter 11, verse 29 reads, "Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your soul." Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your soul. Soul rest, not the rest of the physical body, the rest of our spiritual body, the rest where we come into the presence of God. Once again, as we begin to bring our awareness back to movement, to our breathing, to the sensation of our body, let's take a moment to center ourselves, to refocus on our breath. And now, as you breathe in, invite God into your practice. Invite in His love, His goodness, and all the gifts He has given you today. As you breathe out, allow any stress or struggle or worries or anxieties, all the things that are not rooted in His love, allow them to leave your body with each exhalation. So maybe just a couple more breaths like that, inviting in God's love, goodness, and the gifts He's given you. And on the exhale, releasing your stress, your struggles, your worries, and your anxieties. So when you're ready, slowly come to just a simple kneeling position on your mat so that you can move your props out of your way. Slide the props, you can just slide them off to the side. We're gonna do a standing posture, and then we're gonna come back down onto our mat for mountain brook pose. So let's put the standing. We're gonna do a downward facing dog at the wall. So we're all gonna come and we're gonna face the wall. Rest your hands at about shoulder height, and then just simply walk backwards. And let your head fall in between your arms, let your feet be underneath your hips, soften those knees, bring those shoulders back away from the ears. And just take a moment to breathe. And continue to release that low back. And then slowly walk back to the wall. And then we're going to come down onto our mats. So mountain brook pose is an opportunity to elevate different positions of our body. So we're going to elevate the knees a little bit by putting a bolster or a blanket or a rolled up yoga mat underneath the knees. So again, it depends on how it feels. So the height of whatever you choose may be different depending on what you've been doing earlier in your day. So you can also have a bolster, and you're going to try and rest it about where the bottom of your shoulder blades are so that the chest is elevated and the muscles on the front side of the body get a little bit of a stretch. And then also underneath the neck, I'm going to just roll this up for you gently a little bit. There. So we're going to bring that, and it's going to cradle right underneath Jen's neck. Once she gets down, into position. There. So can you feel that actual support under there? So the idea of this posture is to kind of mimic that water flowing over things in a river or a brook. And so you can see the body kind of takes on the shape of a wave or that the idea of water flowing. So the knees are elevated, which helps to release any tension from the hamstrings. The chest is elevated, which helps to open up the front side of the body, give these muscles a little bit of a stretch. It also relieves the work of the muscles on the back side of the body. And then, of course, the neck is elevated. Are you all right there, Taylor? You're comfortable? So the neck is elevated and the head's kind of dropping back so then the throat is open. Good. So again, seeking a space of comfort and adjusting props as needed till you can find a place where you can be completely still. Maybe consider taking those legs out a little bit wider. That might feel good. Let those toes just soften towards the side walls. Again, bringing thought awareness to the positioning of the hands. They might be outside or on the sides of the body. They might be again resting on the belly, or perhaps they're in cactus arms. So you can adjust as needed. And remember, through the time you remain in the pose, you can always change things too if discomfort begins to present itself. And then just let the body begin to sink into the support of the props beneath it. Trust the support of the props. So again, just being mindful that we're looking for comfort and ease. Scan the body for any areas where you're unable to open, or perhaps if a prop is actually creating distraction for you. And then simply breathe normally in your natural breathing pattern. See if you can let go of all of the parts of the body that you use to speak. So beginning with those muscles behind your ears, down through the jaw, all the way to your chin. Let your lips part slightly. Just allow your tongue to rest easily in your mouth. Feel as if your cheeks are hollow and simply hanging from your cheekbones. So complete release of tension from the jaw. Continue to breathe, just natural breath. Now bring your awareness to your heart. Let yourself receive whatever feelings arise. Draw your awareness down to your belly. See if you can let that belly drop to the spine with each exhalation. Sinking a little deeper into your mat. And now switch your focus from watching your breathing to counting your blessings. Think of one thing that you are grateful for with each breath. Sometimes it's hard to remember the things that we should be grateful for. It isn't until we are still and quiet that we can focus on such things. Have no anxiety about anything, but in everything, by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, your request be known to God, and the peace of God, which passes all understanding, keep your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. So once again, starting to bring a little bit of movement back into the body. Maybe wiggle those fingers, wiggle the toes. Find a little deeper breath. We're going to slowly come up to seated. And again, we're going to move those props out of our way for a moment or two. We're going to just remain seated on our mat. Everything out of the way. I'm just going to come into a simple seated forward fold. So let's start with the knees bent, hands resting on those hamstrings. Roll those shoulders back and lengthen your spine. Then bring your belly down to rest on your thighs and ease your heels forward till you find a gentle stretch in the low back. So without forcing, simply finding your way into that stretch and then considering whether or not you can slide the hands towards the feet, resting on the shins, taking them all the way down. Again, whatever feels good. Just take a moment to ease out some of that tension still in that low back. Slowly sit up nice and tall, hands behind the back. Now, bring those shoulder blades together, open the chest. A little bit of a chest expansion here. One more nice deep breath. Good. All right. So our next posture is called reclining twist with bolster. So again, we're going to take the bolster and lay it lengthwise on our mat. You might add a blanket to it. You might, I was thinking 2 bolsters, but I don't think so because that's a little bit high. So you might not need any more than that. But, and both Jen and Taylor have gone ahead and placed one hip nice and close to that bolster, knees out to the side. Now they're going to turn so that their body can face the bolster, and they're going to lay down so that the body comes on top of the bolster, arms out to the side. So you can see that there's a little bit of a gentle twist presenting itself here in this posture. And as we begin, we're going to have our gaze facing in the same direction as our knees are facing. Good. So you can go ahead and get comfortable there. Take a moment or two to see if you need to change anything, adjust anything. See how that does feel in your body. So a little bit about twist. Yoga twists are said to be smart poses because they give our bodies what they need when they need it. So if we need restoration, they give that to us. If we need to be revived and replenished, they give that to us as well. It's a slight wringing out effect that happens in the body. So this is just a very gentle twist, elevated on that bolster. I want you to just consider on each exhalation to keep relaxing that space in between your shoulder blades. And a gentle reminder just with each exhalation to ease a little deeper into that twist, if that's all right. So in this particular posture, we're going to just stay for a couple of minutes. It is a twist, so you may not want to stay too terribly long. But again, go by how your body feels. So settling in, and then again, bringing that thought back to observing your breathing. Allowing the eyes to remain closed if that feels all right. And on each exhalation, sinking a little bit more into the twist. Relaxing that tension in between those shoulder blades. So very, very slowly, I'd like you to lift your head so that you turn your gaze in the opposite direction. So very slowly, making sure that we're not increasing any tension in that neck or shoulders. And just notice how this feels. So even that gentle turn sometimes can present different things in our neck. So if it isn't comfortable for you to stay with your gaze shifted in that direction, feel free to turn your gaze back. And again, we're going to stay here for just about a minute. So relaxing down into that support of the props, just breathing. Slowly again into your head so that you can switch your gaze back to the opposite direction. And then pressing into your hands to lift your body up and away from that prop, sitting back down onto your sit bones. And we're going to just bring our hands behind our backs, with those knees bent out in front. And we're just going to drop our knees gently from side to side. So again, just getting a little bit of mobility into that spine. Those hips a little bit. Maybe just a couple more like that. And now because it's a twist, we have to, of course, do the opposite side of the body. So we're going to flip that bolster to the other end of your mat. And you're going to set up, again, for that really good twist of your bolster. Bringing that hip close to the end. Turning the body to face the bolster and then laying gently down, adjusting hands, and we'll start with the gaze facing in the same direction as the knees, and closing your eyes. And just simply think about receiving. Sometimes it's difficult for us to simply do that, to receive. Give yourself permission to be here, to receive the benefits of this gentle twist. And as you feel ready, again, lifting your head, gently turning your gaze in the opposite direction, pressing that opposite cheek down on your blanket. With each exhalation, sinking a little deeper into that twist, easing that tension between the shoulder blades. And very slowly and gently lifting the head, turning that gaze back, and then pressing into the hands as you move away from your props. And we'll come back to that little windshield wipers. Hands behind the back, knees bent over the front. And just a few times, just the dropping side to side. time. And now we're going to set up for what will be our final posture for our practice today, basic relaxation pose. And basic relaxation pose is said to be the foundation of restorative practice, the seeking of deliberate stillness. So corpse pose, which is really that point where we begin to really integrate all of the work that we've done here. So you can absolutely support underneath your knees if you like. You can place a blanket under your head, under your neck for comfort. And you might also want to cover up with a blanket. You good there? Taylor, do you need anything else? Do you need another blanket? You okay? Good. And then once again, slowly roll down onto you. And just checking with your body to see how you're feeling. Take note of any places of tension. Do you need to adjust a prop? Do you need to remove a prop? Do you need to add extra blankets for comfort? And again, thinking about what you want to do with your hands. So when we take the hands out to the side and let the palms open, that just gently opens the shoulders and releases some of that tension on the front side of the body. But for some of us, that might not be comfortable. So if it feels better to turn the hands over or to rest on your belly, and again, finding your own way into that absolute state of comfort. Let those toes soften towards the side walls. And take a moment just to simply scan your body, starting from your toes and moving all the way up to the crown of your head. Seeing if you can let go of any tension in the ankles, calves, the knees, the thighs, your hips. Relax around your belly, the back side of your body. Relax the shoulders. Relax down the arms, the elbows, the wrists, and reach the fingertips. Relax the muscles in your face, around your jaw, around your eyes, and across the bridge of your nose. Relax any tension from your forehead, right to the crown of your head. Let your whole body relax. Once you've established yourself, bring awareness to the positioning of your body. Arms and legs equal distance from the center line of the body. Begin to notice your breathing once again. Feel the sensation of sinking and lengthening. The very bones of your body becoming dense and heavy as your muscles begin to relax. And then when you're ready, take one long, slow inhalation, followed by a full and complete exhalation. And then let yourself return to your normal breathing pattern for several cycles of breath. And when you're ready, once again, one long, slow inhalation, a full and complete exhalation, and then just returning to your normal breathing pattern for several cycles of breath. Continue with that centering breath, that long, slow inhalation and exhalation. And then several breaths at your normal breathing pattern. The word yoga is derived from the Sanskrit root Y-U-J, meaning to bind, join, attach, and yoke. To direct and concentrate one's attention on, to use and apply. It also means union and communion. It is the true union of our will with the will of God. So Scripture reminds us, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." So when we join together with Christ, even in our yoga practice, He balances out that work. He takes the heavier load and allows us to find those spaces of deep rest, restoration, and replenishment. Begin again to bring your awareness back to the sensation of your body resting on your mat. Gently reawaken the body by wiggling the fingers and wiggling the toes. Again, finding that breath, maybe deepening it a little bit. So take your time. You may want to just reach those arms over your head for a nice full body stretch. You might want to move those props out of your way, tuck your knees into your chest, and gently rock side to side a little bit. Again, just thinking about easing out any of that tension from the low back. And then slowly make our way back up to a seated position. But perhaps it would feel good to roll to one side for a moment or two. Let's close our eyes, realign our body by gently bringing our ribs over top of our hips, lifting those shoulders up to the ears, releasing those shoulder blades down the back, lengthening the spine. Good, one big breath together, inhaling, reaching up to the ceiling, exhaling, hands to our heart center, and we'll just simply tilt our head forward. We are all tired. Life is a hard road, but a beautiful one. Perhaps we expect too much from ourselves or from each other. Perhaps we need to celebrate how far we have come and rest more, and relish the simple pleasures, and look for love everywhere. As we move back into the rest of our day, just take a moment to consider a river that meanders slowly and peacefully. It doesn't ask itself why it isn't an ocean or a raging river. It simply surrenders to what it is. As we allow our bodies to relax, we surrender that last little grip of tension. And in this space, we receive the rest that comes with the knowledge that we don't have to make this journey alone. We allow ourselves to be yoked, to join with Jesus on this journey. Allow yourself today to be restored and to be replenished. Thank you for joining me. Namaste.